So one of the things that we are really learning is to be active listeners. Sometimes we don't know how, and it's not natural that we know how to listen. Sometimes we can deceive ourselves that we know how to listen until we are in a situation where we we are not listening, or someone says that, hey, you not listen to me, yet you feel that you listen. So you get to a point where you are, it's their words against yours. And when someone says they didn't feel listened to, is actually, you can't now say you are listening. So some tips, I got it from this website, and we've added some few things there. But one of the things I've learned is that we have to learn to establish a face and an eye contact with the speaker. If I was talking to you and I was looking on the sides, you can just feel that, hey, what's happening? Or if Wachira was talking and I'm busy distracted, or so one of the things that sometimes teenagers don't do this very well, maybe because they are facing a lot of emotions in life and they're trying to, puberty comes with a lot of heaviness. Sometimes you can talk to a young man or a young lady and they are either looking sideways, or sometimes even, I don't know whether you've ever talked to kids, and sometimes when the kid is not, maybe doesn't have very good self-esteem, they look down and they are maybe drawing something. So listening, being able to actually establish an eye contact is very important part of it's very important part of listening. And so one of the things I would really want us to do while we are in this forum is actually to have our videos on. So Val, pole sana for busting your bubble. But you have to make effort to have your video on. It's part of the training. So sometimes too much eye contact can be intimidating. So you have to balance that. Sometimes you look at someone and they're even afraid to speak. So you have to try and balance that. So sometimes you have to catch your posture, but establishing a face-to-face eye contact helps one to actually feel that they're listening. Sometimes you have to listen to the non-verbal. Sometimes people don't say what they mean. Sometimes when someone is sharing about something, they can actually end up not saying what they are feeling. Sometimes someone can say, I feel so happy, but amejishika hivi. So you can just tell there's more than meets the eye. Or someone can say, man, I feel so energized, but they are looking down. It's not much in what they're saying. So paying attention to the nonverbal is very key. The tone on voice, sometimes someone can be saying, I'm fine, but the tone on voice already tells you that they're not fine. See, so look at the gestures, and these are these are things that we have to learn, even as you communicate with one another, even as you communicate with even people at your workplace. Sometimes we have to learn to see that. The other thing is trying to not interrupt when someone is maybe sharing. Apart from what we're doing, maybe trying to clarify what you heard so that you can listen better. But sometimes people would feel, for example, I'm sharing about my life or something, then maybe Washira brings in another topic right there, Someone can feel, hey, or maybe your spouse is sharing about her day or something, then you also want to share about your day at the same time. They feel like, so who is listening to who? you know. So try not to interrupt. Sometimes being interrupted is frustrating to the other person. Sometimes I've seen that with Sean. Sean, I think his mind is so sometimes focused that when he's speaking and sharing his nini and someone else speaks, he gets agitated. Okay, let's wait for you to share then I'll continue sharing. So listening without jumping into conclusion or jumping or judging. Sometimes we do that a lot, especially if because we know each other as disciples, or rather we think we know each other. And sometimes when someone shares, you can actually start even saying, that person is sharing because I know what he did, you know. And sometimes you can jump to conclusion and judgment, and you end up finding you're actually not paying attention or listening to that person. So listening to their emotions, don't try to fix it. Sometimes I think we do that as husbands, trying to fix when our wives share. They're like, I just want to share what I'm feeling. Don't fix it. And yeah, so sometimes it may be logical. Sometimes a lot of things people share are not something logical. So you don't have to look for the logic in their sharing. You just listen to the emotions. Don't start planning what to say next. Sometimes someone is sharing and you're like, are they okay? I need to say this. just be present. Be present when the person is sharing. Just try. Resist the urge to think about what you're going to share next. Resist. Because that urge is always there. It's so strong. So sometimes learn to show that you're listening, maybe nodding your head or saying, okay. That shows that you're listening. Sometimes when someone is speak and they're silent, sometimes people can even be put off. They'll feel, by the way, maybe I'm just talking to myself here. And one of the things, don't look at your watch or start fidgeting or play with your hair or fingernails. Sometimes there are things that you can do that someone can be, man, okay, am I wasting my time here? So don't impose your opinions or solutions. Sometimes what we do, trying to fix the other person. It's almost like what talking about listening without judging. So don't impose your opinions or solutions. A lot of times we do that a lot. And when someone is sharing and you're like, oh, I think this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And we lose the person. Or the person is feeling, okay, I don't think I should continue sharing. It's an art we have to learn. It's not natural. Some people do it easier than others. I, for one, am learning this. I think I'm becoming a bit better at it, but naturally, I'm not like a good listener. I think I try to fix things. I try to look for why you're sharing it rather than being present. Try to stay focused. Sometimes you have to switch off your phone. Or sometimes you see that even with the teens, when they're hanging out, the guy has to pick their phones maybe in a basket and put them away because they'll not be able to listen to one another. So it's important that we try, because we are living in an age where there's too many distractions. And sometimes we look at our phones when someone is speaking, or sometimes you're so distracted and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm with you, just continue sharing. But you're not there. You're not there. Ask gentle, curious questions. And that's what we're doing when we are talking about flan, feeling, listening, and attuning, and also the needs. Attuning is where you're asking curious questions to clarify. You're not bringing it a new thought. You're not trying to bring in a new thought, but you're trying to understand what that person said. For example, if you're not sure if you've understood correctly, wait until the speaker pauses, then say something like, "Did you mean this? I'm not sure if I understood what you were saying about this." Sometimes just wait for the speaker to finish. Then you can ask. Of course, attuning to, sometimes people share because they already know a solution. They already know what to do, but they are sharing so that they can have someone to listen. And we don't have that a lot even in Nairobi now. We are more in the first world. We are getting to the first world more than in upcountry. People have time. In Nairobi, and sometimes I talk to the guys who relocated from upcountry to Nairobi, and they say, "You guys are living plastic lives. You're so unreal. You don't actually have time." So we have to train ourselves to empathize with the person. Sometimes paraphrase, summarize what they said, sharing what emotions you picked from them. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more we practice this, the more we become better at listening, because we are not born like that. A lot of times, naturally, we want to speak, but we don't want to listen.